everyone. I have decided on my Read What I Own challenge, so I wanted to share that with you today. I know that Criminali has one that he likes to do, and he has his own exceptions and rules, but I've seen multiple other creators kind of adopt that same challenge to suit their own needs. So I'm going to go over what the challenge is and what exceptions I'm giving to myself and what rules I'm giving to myself. I am going to be reading 25 books. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but I know also that I've been having a hard time reading. 25, when you have had a difficult time reading and sitting down to read a long form book or a long form piece of literature, it is a lot. So I'm going to do that. Some exceptions that I have are exception 1, I'm a part of a book club. So automatically that means that I'm going to be getting a new book every month, and I'm going to read it and discuss it with a group of people. Now, I'm not going to stop being part of this book club. It's with the library. It fills a lot of different needs for me, some for socializing and community and whatnot, as well as it still supports the library. I'm not going to stop that. It won't count towards my 25 goal, though. So that's exception 1. The second exception that I have is I'm letting myself do one buddy read. Now, I'm new in partnership with this person, and buddy reads, I think, are a really neat way to see what each other's viewpoint is on a book, see how you collaborate, see how you bounce ideas off of each other, and what each other picks up on, and being able to discuss these things. I think that is a very beautiful thing. I think the amount of connection that can come out of something like that is awesome. So I am going to allow that in my challenge. I don't think that will count towards the challenge goal. In fact, I know it won't. I don't own that book. So if it comes to pass, it is actually very important. And I am going to allow myself that. I'm going to allow that as an exception. The third exception that I have is that I know I've been having a hard time with reading as far as sitting down and reading a book. With a job as a technical writer, I find reading fairly easy, but you're not reading pages and pages and getting context from one page and carrying it throughout several pages. You're kind of looking at a page as a thing in entirety. Well, there could be multiple pages that talk about the same thing, but basically, one page should really be one idea. You shouldn't have a process that starts on one page and goes to another page, or is on one topic and links to another topic for the rest of the steps. That doesn't make sense. So for my job, it would be fine. For reading, that's a completely different thing. And because of that, I have decided that it's okay if I need to get the audiobook of a book that I'm going to read. But the exception comes with a caveat. It has to come from the library. If it's not an audiobook that the library has, I cannot use it. So I have 3 rules that I'm also thinking about. The first rule is that I'm allowed rereads. That can happen, but I feel that the spirit of the challenge is really reading new things and reading the things that I've collected that I haven't read and being able to see if that's something that I can purge or something that I should keep and I would want to reread. So in that spirit, I don't think that a majority should be rereads, although I don't want to be really strict with myself and say that I can't read anything again. That would be horrible. So I kind of restricted myself to 10 out of the 25 can be rereads. That way, it's a little less than half that can be. It's not saying that it will be. I'm just giving myself a little bit of wiggle room so that if I want to reread something, and that would count towards the challenge total. I'm also being cognizant that this challenge goes through Christmas, and I love books. So even though I don't myself celebrate Christmas, you know, there are people in my life that do celebrate, and they might want to provide gifts to their friends. And I don't want to say no if that's a way that they show love. I don't want to not appreciate the efforts there. I will say that, you know, if I won't buy books, but if I got books in this manner, that's fine. But if I read them, it won't count to the challenge because I'm starting the challenge today. So it's based off of what I own today, not based off of what I acquire in the future. The last rule that I have is that the length of book actually doesn't count. It doesn't matter. I'm not giving myself a page goal or anything like that. So I really don't care if it's a manga or a graphic novel or novella, or if it's a long fiction or whatever, it all counts. Before I show you what books I'm going to be reading this month, I have an observation that I want to share, and I want to see if anybody else has noticed this as well. I have noticed in books that either the synopsis at the back of the book has either completely gone away, and all there is little recommendations from different authors, maybe some actors, just different people talking about the book, or it's really long-winded and there's no recommendations. So I'm noticing a trend going in those two directions. You can let me know if you're seeing something similar. I know in the past, you might have both, or there might be just a really snappy kind of intro to the book to make you want to buy the book. And I'm not necessarily seeing that now. And I don't know if it's the types of books I'm looking at. I don't know if I'm missing that there's quite a few books that don't do that. You can let me know. So my book club book this month is Bad Cree by Jessica Johns. Now, I started reading this book last week when I picked this up from the library, and I'm still pretty early on in the book. I think I'm about 50 pages in or so. I enjoy it so far. It has gorgeous writing. There's a lot of descriptions that are in a metaphor or simile, and I'm here for it. Some of the similes and metaphors used are absolutely gorgeous, and I absolutely love them. And I look forward to when I complete the book, coming up and telling you some of these things that I have pointed out. This book is about Mackenzie, and one day she wakes up from a very realistic dream, and she has crow's head in her hand. And in her dream, she had killed this crow. one moment when she's coming out of the dream into the waking world, she has the crow in her hand. She blinks, the crow's head disappears. A year earlier, her sister tragically died. And the dreams that Mackenzie has all seem to set around the family campground or camping spot and her sister and certain memories that they've had and whatever. As the story kind of goes on, the dreams start kind of bleeding into reality. So she might wake up from a nightmare where she's drowning and she might be like spurting up salt water from the sea, even though she was not at all near water when she was sleeping. So stuff like that happens. A murder of crows start following her around. And apparently, at some point, and this is in the synopsis, so I'm not spoiling anything, she starts getting threatening text messages from someone who's claiming to be her dead sister. So this story is discovering what happened to Sabrina, like what happened to cause her death and what is linking her death to the family campsite and the people that are in the dreams. Is there any connection? So we're discovering what all of that is. Now, while Mackenzie's trying to piece all of that together, she's also struggling with the idea that only a bad Cree would endanger her family. And there's a bunch of cultural ideas and significance there. And it goes into that. And it goes into, as she's piecing the mystery, as she's solving the mystery, she might be putting her family more and more in danger too. So that'll be interesting to see how that works out. I know that this book won't count towards my final tally of my challenge, but I definitely did want to talk to you about it anyway, as I really don't know how advertised this book is, but it is very worthy of being talked about. Right now, I'm certainly enjoying it. I don't know if the reason that I am struggling to read right now is because of the types of books that I usually read, and I need to break out of that. So I have decided on 3 cozy mysteries that I'm gonna read this month, and they're meant to be on the lighter side. They're meant to be cozy. They're not meant to be too gruesome. They're not meant to be anything like that. So I'm gonna see how this goes, and I want a cozy moment. I want to make myself cocoa and wrap myself in a blanket and read a book and see where things go from there. The first book that I have on my list is Eat, Drink, and Be Scary by Olivia Jaymes. So I'm going to side-eye this book for not using Oxford commas, at least in the title. I haven't read the actual book, but I digress. So apparently this book is set in a really tiny Midwestern town. It's supposed to be really quaint and cute, and it's all set up for like a fall festival, and there's kind of spooky decorations, kind of fall decorations happening everywhere. And what we're doing is we're following a character named Theodosia, or Teddy for short. And she kind of owns a comfy little inn in the town, and she's all booked up. I mean, people are coming from all over to book rooms in this town. She's completely booked up. Well, it is discovered in the festival that there is somebody, there's a dead body in the activity for bobbing for apples. And her best friend is the prime suspect for that murder. And she doesn't want to believe that it's her friend. So she kind of goes off and tries to piece together the reasons for this murder. She tries to solve this mystery. And she encounters some supernatural elements along the way. So that's going to be interesting. I don't quite know all the different things that she's going to come into contact with, but it sounds like there's some ghosts. It sounds like there's different haunted things that come into play as well. So that'll be interesting to read about. Now I have 2 books by Barbara Cool Lee that I have on my list as well. The first one is The Inconvenient Corpse. And this is an adorable cover. In fact, the other one was an adorable cover too. But this series does present itself as cozy mysteries. It says that there's no swearing in these books, which fine. There's no steaminess in these books, although there's love interests. That's kind of a bummer, actually. I kind of like a little smut moment. And there's no gruesome crimes that happen in the book. That's also kind of a bummer. But again, if I'm coming out of my comfort zone, coming out of my normal reading to-dos, that makes sense that I'd be reading things that don't have gruesomeness to them. So this book series follows a character named Maggie, and she's in a Californian town. And apparently she's newly divorced. I'm not quite sure of her status there, but I think I read somewhere that she is. And she owns a little bead shop, and she has a cute little life, and she's just, she has friends, and she's figuring out her community and everything again, but she seems to be getting on her feet. So a snippet from the long summary in the book asks, do you like dogs, crafts, quirks, friends, a slow-building romance between grown-ups who genuinely like each other, and a little twisty mystery with red herrings galore? Then this is for you. I like those things. I like all those things. I'm going to read. We're going to know. I don't know the premise of this book. I don't know what types of mysteries we're going to be looking at this book. The next book, however, we do know what the mystery is. So this one, originally I was like, oh, this is another cute cover. I like this cover. It's the exact same as the last cover, but it's blue. Good job, me. It's still cute. I like dogs. I like that breed of dogs. I like blue. I like bubbles. Who doesn't like bubbles? I mean, it's all a win. So the premise of this book is apparently figuring out what is going on in this town. Apparently there's a bunch of interesting murders that happen. One of them is a teenage student that threatens to strangle her mother with the beads she wears around her neck. And later, her mother is found dead. And the question is, was that the daughter who had threatened the mom in that manner that killed the mom? Or was something else in play? That's an example. So Maggie is going to try to piece together this mystery. I'm not quite sure if that's the main mystery that they follow or if there's different mysteries that are in this book. It's hard to say. I haven't read it yet, so I look forward to sharing that with you. So there you have it. That is my first few books that I'm going to read for my challenge. So I haven't heard anything about any of these books. So please let me know down in the comments if there's any of these books that you've read and what you thought. And if you have heard anything about them. It's been a while since I put them on my Kindle, so I'm not quite sure the reasons that they were on there in the first place. So it'd be interesting to know if anybody has an opinion about these books as well. Have you done a reading challenge? What books were on your reading challenge? Did you specify what books, or did you kind of go through and cherry pick out of your stash and say which books you were going to read? Did you have any rules for yourself, or anything that you had exceptions for with your challenge? Let me know that too. In the meantime, I hope you're having the best day out there that you possibly can, and I'll talk to you later.